The production of Alien 3 is probably one of the most fucked up productions I've ever seen. I feel bad for David Fincher. Alien 3 is directed by David Fincher and stars Sigourney Weaver, Charles Dance, and Charles S. Dutton. It follows Ripley, who crash lands on a remote planet home to a prison full of men, convicts that have no weapons to defend themselves, while terrifying alien rooms loose in the facility. I like Alien 3. I don't love it. I think that it's an okay third film, but considering how fucked the production was and how things were meddled with, like, it's a miracle that this movie was as good as it was. I think that the movie needed several more rewrites. They had already spent a lot of the budget in this movie, they had spent like 13 million already for numerous rewrites of the script, and they hadn't even shot yet. I think that this movie was even thus fucked before it even began filming. Two winning cooks in the kitchen. I think that the special effects are pretty bad here, especially compared to the first two films. The first two films, the monsters look super realistic, they're super well done, but here it looks really bad. The CGI monster looks cheap and it doesn't look real at all. It takes you out of the film. It takes me out of the film every time I watch it. I think it's really poor. A lot of things don't make sense here in this film. I just don't like that there's a facehugger aboard a Ripley ship. It doesn't make any sense. Like, the Queen never brings one aboard their ship and feels really tacked on. I would have much preferred them to discover a second alien planet or something, and she gets impregnated during her sleep, and this is the way that she gets the alien inside her, or don't even have an alien inside Ripley. I just don't like that aspect of the story. I think that it's really bad, and I just don't think that it was necessary at all. Ellen Ripley is found on the beach of this prison planet and is taken to the Dr. Clemens, who informs her that she is the sole survivor of her crew. This is a complete devastating news to Ripley as well as to the audience. I also don't like that they killed Newt and Hicks right off the bat in this film. It's brutal, it's unnecessary, because they could have been such great characters in this third movie. You could have had this great family dynamic between the three of them, and it just really pissed me off, and I think it pissed a lot of people off that they killed the two best characters in Aliens alongside Ripley. I like Sigourney Weaver a lot in this movie. I think that she still brings her A game. She made several demands here in this film. It's public knowledge that she really had a clout now as an actress, because she was nominated for an Oscar in Aliens 2. She didn't win, but she was nominated for an Oscar, and so she had more power in the direction of this film. So she demanded that, and she wanted to wear a bald cap. She didn't want to shave her head at first, and she also didn't want the movie to rely on guns. And that's why we got a prison that's full of murderers, but there are no guns. There's a lot of stuff, like I said, that just doesn't make sense, and it's stupid. And she also wanted reportedly a sexual relationship with an alien. Thank God that it happened. It happens a bit in Alien Resurrection, but here it doesn't happen yet. Ridiculous stuff like that. I just don't understand it. If you're in this action or horror franchise, of course there's gonna be guns. Of course there's gonna be violence. It's just ridiculous, all the demands that she made. The producers should have put their foot down at some point. I'm glad some stuff didn't happen, but the no guns thing is really ridiculous. I like how we have a new version of the alien here. I like how we explore in this movie that what happens if the alien comes out of an animal instead of a human. It's the first time we explored that in the Alien franchise, and I think that was a cool idea. The alien comes out of a dog here, and it becomes bigger rapidly and faster, and it starts picking the crewmates off one by one. Ripley is also almost gang raped by some of the prisoners. I like the scenes because it's so like dirty, it's so tension filled, and she is saved by Dillian, and I like the character of Dillian. He's like the leader of the prisoners. They look up to him. I think that he's really a good character. I like that this movie really returns to the roots of the original. I liked how it's like in this secluded setting, and I like that there's only one alien, and kind of like the crew in the original movie in the Nostromo. They were defenseless against the one alien that was coming after them. So Ripley starts to investigate what happened to her ship, and she awakens Bishop. She awakens the robot who tells her that there was an alien egg on the ship, and then like the egg hatched. Some of this movie I think drags. I don't think that the pacing is as good as the original Alien or the second Aliens film. I think that there are some scenes that really are boring. I don't really feel the urgency in this film. Like there isn't as much tension as the second Alien film. It just feels like a more boring film, and I just am really flabbergasted as to why they chose the script. Probably because they had to choose one. All the scripts that they had, all the story ideas that they pitched for this movie, but I think that the story isn't all that great, and I would have liked something different. I would have liked something better, in my opinion. And the characters aren't as likable as, like, say, the Marines in the second one or the crew in the first one. I don't think that the characters are all that fantastic here. Unfortunately, I like some of the prisoners, like Charles Dance character, a doctor who Ripley eventually sleeps with. Charles Dance also gets killed off pretty early in this movie, which was done mostly for shock value, and that's a pity because I just love Charles Dance as an actor. And also Charles S. Dutton's character Dillian, I liked him, but like the other prisoners are expendables, and they don't really matter here in the overall scheme of things. The prisoner Golic also believes that the alien is some sort of like super being. So Ripley, she begs Dillian to end her life, but Dillian tells her that she needs to help the crewmates defeat the alien creature first before he kills her. Ripley and Dillian come up with a plan to capture the alien in the secret room aimed to store toxic waste. A maneuver which actually succeed. They succeed in capturing the alien and killing it. This film ends on a somber note, in my opinion. I don't really like the ending of this film. Alien Ripley kills herself when the Weyland Company arrives. The Weyland Company wants the embryo inside her, so that they can study the alien creature. The company is led by a man that looks exactly like Bishop. The man tells Ripley that he created Bishop, and that she should trust them. But of course, Ripley doesn't trust them at all, and she lets herself fall into the lava, and the alien comes out of her chest. It bursts out of her, and she grabs onto it, and she dies. And so yeah, here we arrive at the end of the film. Like I said, I don't really like this ending because I think that Ripley deserves a better ending. I think that she deserved something a lot more hopeful. I think that this entire movie is somber. I like some of the aspects of this movie. I like some of the scenes in this movie, but as a whole, I just don't really enjoy it all that much. I think that the soundtrack is very good. I like the some of the themes here. I like listening to the music of this film. I love David Fincher as the director. I think that David Fincher is awesome, and the movie would have been a lot better if the studio hadn't meddled with it so much. David Fincher was a first-time director at the time, and like, I know that they probably got him because they wanted somebody that they could boss around and like tell him what to do. But like, why not get somebody that's experienced and deliver a good product? I mean, like, wouldn't have been so difficult if you had gotten somebody like Scorsese or Steven Spielberg at the time? I think that this movie could have been 100 times better if like the studio could have just let directors do what they want, but I think that they were so blindsided by greed, and they just wanted some quick money, and this is what we got from Fox. Also, the marketing of Alien 3 was really terribly done. It's just really cheap marketing. I know, like, Sigourney Weaver talked about it. She was really disappointed over the way it was marketed. Like, though, it had like the bitch's back on all the posters, and like Sigourney Weaver is not the bitch. It's like the alien queen is the bitch. But when people see that, they think that Ellen Ripley is the bitch. Like, all these things that don't really make any sense. There are actually two versions of Alien 3 that exist. There's the theatrical cut and the assembly cut, and a lot of people think that the assembly cut is actually better than the theatrical cut, which I agree with. It gives us a much better opening. It gives more backstories to the prisoners. The prison colonies feels different. It feels lived in. There's a different subplot about the alien being caught and then being freed again. There's about like 30 minutes of added scenes in the assembly cut, and I think that it makes the movie a lot better. It really feels like an improved version of this film. So I think that the assembly cut is much better. It's not the director's cut, because like that doesn't exist. David Fincher left the project. He doesn't want to be associated with Alien 3, so there's no director's cut. There's just an assembly cut of this film. I also prefer the assembly cut because the creature comes out of a dog in the theatrical, but the assembly comes out of an ox. I think I prefer the ox better than the dog personally. The scene of the ox is like less brutal than the dog scene and the dog birth scene. The dog birth scene, I think, is really very difficult to watch, and I just think I prefer the ox scene because it's already dead and the thing bursts out of her. I think I just prefer that scene just because, like, I don't like when seeing dogs get killed. The theatrical cut also has the queen coming out of her as Ripley falls to her death. I think I like the assembly cut better, where Ripley just falls to her death and nothing comes out. Mainly because I think that the CGI kind of looks bad when the queen pops out of her. It's not like it's a terrible idea, but it just doesn't really look good. I don't think that it makes Alien 3 a perfect movie or even like a super enjoyable film, but I think that it really is a better film. And also it has like a different ending. It's actually it's an even better ending than the one that we got in theatrical. So yeah, Alien 3, there are pros and cons to it. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think that it's okay. It's like this movie that I watch when I watch all of the Aliens films, because like it at least has Ripley. It at least has her being a cool character, even though I don't agree with a lot of the story decisions or how it's directed. And I think that David Fincher would probably agree with me. I don't think that it's a great film, but I don't think it's a terrible film either. I'd probably give this movie a C. And I agree with the great Roger Ebert on this one. He once said about Alien 3, "This is a triumph of art direction and a disaster of screenwriting." He couldn't be more correct, and considering the budget was 3 times the budget of Aliens, it still baffles me to this day that this is the story we got for this film. If you love Alien 3, like, more power to you. Just to me, this movie really is sort of an unsatisfying experience for me. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Alien 3. Let me know what you think about the movie down in the comments below. Please like this video, subscribe, and see you next time.